what other cancers can be discovered using a liquid biopsy?
So really, the whole field of cancer testing and liquid biopsy use has been excited by the explosion of knowledge of exosomes, which are little small particles that come off the surface of cancer cells and get into the bloodstream. Exosomes are very small and they're quite hard to isolate, but they contain within them a lot of information about cancer. So if you can capture them from the blood and then run them in assays in the lab, then you can in fact really find a lot of different types of cancers. So there are groups that are working in that area now. You know, typically in biotechnology, the sexy companies are those that are working in therapies for cancer. And, you know, we know well that the chance of getting a therapy to the market is very, very low. So you really need to do a lot of different types of approaches or different types of products. You need to test lots and lots of them before you can find the one that's actually effective. It's a very, very difficult road, but if you do find that blockbuster treatment, it can be worth a lot of money. So that's why investors and other companies put a lot of time and effort and money into companies that are developing new treatments. But it's still, you know, a very high risk venture. Companies that are working in diagnostics have so far been a lot less, I guess, sexy, but working hand in hand with companies that have treatments. An effective treatment is only going to be as effective as the diagnostic tells you that, you know, where the cancer is and what type it is. So the diagnostic companies are now coming into their own, and there are a handful of them in Australia that I think are doing some interesting work and are worthwhile keeping an eye on.
Does the same technique apply across the different cancers, or would one company specialize in one particular liquid biopsy?
Yeah, there are different ways of approaching diagnostics. Liquid biopsy is one way, and there are companies that are working in that. For example, Minomic, which is a private company based in Sydney, is working in prostate cancer. They're developing a test that uses blood. I mean, at the moment, the prostate cancer test is a liquid biopsy. It's PSA, stands for prostate specific antigen, but it's not very specific, and the test itself is controversial as to whether it should be used or not. You can have an elevated PSA level for no apparent reason, you know, in the absence of cancer. So it's not a very specific test, and even women can have a positive PSA test. So, you know, it has some imperfections in it. So a better test is needed, and Minomic are working on a test that looks at 3 or 4 different markers in the blood. So it's a liquid biopsy approach for that particular disease. There's another company called Sienna Diagnostics. They are a public company based in Melbourne, and they're currently selling a test which detects a protein called telomerase in bladder cancer. And, you know, whilst it's early days for them, they are actually in the market earning revenue, and they're looking at expanding their range of portfolios in liquid biopsy to take on some other interesting tests that might be out there. For other companies like genetic systems use a gene-based approach, so they screen for specific genes that may be present that provide a way of testing for one's propensity to get cancer, so before it starts. So yeah, so there are companies that are working in a whole range of different approaches, but on different cancers, and you know, this is occurring not only in Australia but also worldwide.